Alright, today we are going to replace the Shelby's two-piece steel drive shaft with a one-piece aluminum drive shaft. This is from the Driveshaft Shop. I bought it from American Muscle, and it is designed for the Shelby. It is, as you can see, a one-piece construction. The Shelby has a piece that goes to here, and then a bearing, and then another piece that goes to there. This is actually a constant velocity joint. That's probably the heaviest piece of the whole drive shaft, is this right here. But one thing that's, while it's important to reduce weight on any sports car for performance purposes, the most important weight you can reduce is anything that rotates. And so this is about half the weight of the original drive shaft. It makes an actual very significant difference in how fast the engine can spin up. It doesn't have to overcome the inertia of the mass. Alright, the drive shaft is coupled to the output flange of the transmission up in the front here with 4 bolts that are 12 point. Need a 12-point socket to get them off of there. There runs up in the under the exhaust, and then here's the second coupling right here. That's the second piece there. So you can see it has a different drive angle. This is the carrier bearing right here, and then back to the input flange to the rear differential. And so this aluminum drive shaft is just one piece, replaces this whole thing straight down back to the back there with no carrier bearing. If you have a bearing anywhere, I don't care how efficient the bearing is, it creates loss. So not only do we have rotational mass here that we're trying to get rid of, but we also have driveline loss, and then we also have a potential failure point here if that bearing, or when that bearing eventually seizes or goes or starts to get noisy. That's also driveline loss and noise. So we're just going to go ahead and replace the whole thing. It's one thing I should have done, or thought of doing, when I had the car apart, when I did the transmission or the clutch. You can see all the heat shielding I added to the transmission. You can see the exhaust, how it comes down. Catalytic converters are right there. They get very hot. And so this extra heat shielding keeps the heat from transmitting or radiating, and then transmitting the heat to the transmission, which then transmits it forward to the, because it's all aluminum casing, to the back of the engine. So I've done a lot of heat shielding in here to keep the heat off the transmission. When I was at Daytona and it blew the engine, another thing that it did was it boiled oil out of the transmission. It actually escaped through the vent tubing and blew all over the back of the car. There was transmission oil all over the back of the car as a result of that. So it was obvious that this was overheating, and it's not just from use of the transmission, it's radiating heat coming from these exhaust pipes. Alright, we've loosened these bolts here. We're just removing the last one. These are 12-point bolts. These 12-point bolts make a lot more sense, actually. A little better bite with the socket than the traditional hex nut. Alright, I'm now removing the final bolts from the rear here, the last one. There's 6 of them. They are 10mm. The new drive shaft has a spacer and adapter plate that goes on this input flange. So now the drive shaft is disconnected both front and rear, and we've got these 2 carrier bearing bolts up here to remove the frame for the carrier bearing. When that carrier bearing is released, the drive shaft will be able to drop into, and then I'm going to try to fish it out from within the exhaust. Hopefully I can do it. If not, I'll have to drop these exhaust members from the front like I did to kick the car apart. With the weight coming from this angle, not a sharp angle. Push up. Drive shaft is free. Forgot the carrier has spacers on it. It's free of the rear. And I think I need to pry it out of there. I think it actually recesses up in there. I have to get a pry bar and pry that out. I'm going to go do it with the extension. See if the extension will pry it. it's free of the car. Ow, can I get it out through the exhaust, or do I have to drop the exhaust? Bingo. Alright, there's the drive shaft for the Shelby. So two pieces. This is probably a constant velocity joint. The only thing I don't like about this new one is usually a CV joint. You try to protect it from dirt getting in there. You put these rubber boots on there, and they didn't do that. I just don't know why. That's the only thing I don't like about it. Even this one has a boot to try to protect the dirt. As far as it goes in. Before I put this on, I'm going to see if I can't get that new drive shaft shoved up in this hole. Because even that little bit of space clearance might be important. Alright, trying to get this piece into the flange. It won't go all the way in. I suspect whatever anodizing they put on here is created enough thickness that it won't get past the flange. So we're going to remove the anodizing. Yeah, that'll fit. It's gonna be snug, but it'll fit. Let's see if I got lucky. Plate is in. And this is going to now bolt to the adapter plate, and then the front up here is going to bolt to the front. We'll do the front first, and then we'll work on the back adapter plate, or the back section. Let's get some thread locker on these guys. Oh, I guess I should make sure these are even lined up. Right there. Okay, there's one. Let's go for the rest of them. Let's go completely opposite. There. And then opposite this. Alright, the manufacturer says from here to here can be between 3 1/4 and 3 3/4. So we got 3 1/2. Right in the middle. We're good to go. Let's torque it down and we're done. Alright, drive shaft is installed. Before I take this car off the lift, we are going to put the drive line in motion, crawl under there and just take a look at it. Traction control's kicking in. Turn that off. There's no way that's in 5th gear. First, second, car wants to do 40 miles an hour at idle in 6th gear. And let's see what the driveline looks like. So things are spinning, so we gotta be a little careful. Man, that's nice and smooth. Look at that. Very nice. There you have it. Aluminum one-piece drive shaft. Back to first. Jack. Brakes on. Time to take it off the stands. Job done.